Today we're in British Columbia's capital city, Victoria, on the southern tip of Vancouver Island. While present-day Victoria is a vibrant cosmopolitan city, it still proudly maintains some of its rich British traditions, including afternoon tea. We are setting out to learn more about Victoria's tea culture and are very lucky to be starting at the beautiful Carey Mews Tea Room at Government House, where Ali and I have been invited to take tea with the Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, the Honourable Judith Guichon.
It's just such a wonderful space here. How long has this tea room been here?
Well, it reopened about 5 years ago, and as you'll see on the wall, it's called Rudy's Tea House, and that's because we were able to enlarge the space a little bit somewhat at the beginning of last year, thanks to a very generous donation from Rudy Hohenson. And we enlarged the outside deck, and on a warm day, it's crowded with visitors from everywhere around the world.
Well, that's what surprises me so much. I'm a Victorian. I live here. I had no idea this place existed.
Well, I think that's you're typical of many Victorians. They don't know we're here. Yeah. We're kind of tucked away down behind Government House. And so it is a very well-kept secret among Victorians.
Absolutely, and Ali's going to pour for us.
Oh, wonderful.
We couldn't have afternoon tea without tea, of course.
Yes.
Now, of course, Government House is the provincial seat for government in British Columbia.
Government House is the home and office of the Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, who is the head of state rather than the head of government.
Okay.
Thank you. In every single province we have a Lieutenant Governor, and we have commissioners in the territories. And of course in Ottawa we have His Excellency David Johnston, the Governor General, at Rideau Hall. Okay. So this has been in the possession of the provincial government since before we were a province, actually. Oh. And I do live in the wonderful big house up on the hill.
Do you get an opportunity to take tea very often, or are you so busy that it's...
I'm on the road a lot, or writing speeches, but I do get more opportunity in the summer, and when I can come down here, and it's often very, very, if I don't make a reservation, I might not get a seat.
It's a good thing you know somebody in the know.
Yes, so if I know I'm going to have a chance, I might phone ahead. As you can see, we have a wonderful chef here, so.
Yes,
it looks just delicious across the table, all these delightful cakes and treats.
And much of it, Alex is very good about accessing local produce, local mushrooms, local fruit, whenever it is available.
Now, obviously, it's important to sort of, showcase British Columbia, showcase the island. Is there a specific tea that you choose to serve when the dignitaries come?
Well, we do have our Government House tea blend from Murchie's, and so...
An icon in Victoria itself as well.
So we serve that, or we give them choices sometimes. But.
Right.
We're in Victoria, finding out about tea. Unfortunately for us, Victoria's Chinatown is the home of Silk Road tea. We're here to meet one of Canada's only authentic tea masters, Daniela Kubelik. Let's go inside and see what she's got to say. Inside, the whole store is dedicated to tea and tea drinking and offers over 100 varieties of fresh teas.
So Daniela, you've been called Canada's tea master and the queen of teas. And I even understand you were invited to Taiwan to help with their tea program over there.
Absolutely, yeah. So I guess, I bring a unique perspective to tea, and having studied tea and Chinese and Taiwanese tea traditions for a very long time, what makes me different is I also live in the West, and I have a Western perspective too. And I guess I was sort of a very early pioneer in high quality tea and bringing really high quality tea to North America. It is the world's most widely consumed beverage, and that's a very, very good thing because it's very good for our health. And so it's one thing that we want to encourage for sure.
So in what way is tea so good for us?
Well, you know what? Going back to Asian traditions, what they would say is that tea is a drink that's about immortality. Okay. And that sounds actually pretty like a pretty crazy claim, but what we're discovering is that even on a cellular level, on a DNA level, tea makes us healthier. Okay. It prevents aging. Right. Tea drinkers, on average, their DNA looks 5 years younger than the general population. It boosts our immune system. It has cancer prevention attributes. I guess the Reader's Digest version of the answer is to say drink it.
Yeah.
Drink it more.
Right.
Drink it frequently, and enjoy the benefits.
And of course, there's such a wide variety of ways to drink tea, isn't there? So you can never drink it the same way twice, kind of thing.
Absolutely, and lots of flavors too. And I think that's something that people in the West, I think, are less familiar with. And that was something that really inspired me when I started Silk Road, because I realized that tea is just as interesting as wine.
Right.
You have a diversity of flavors and terroir and methods of manufacture and production, and all of those things change the way that the tea tastes. So it's not just one beverage, it's 1,000 beverages.
And can you just clarify, I know there's a difference between tisanes and teas.
A tisane would be a herbal tea, what we
Right.
think of as a herbal tea. So tea, most properly considered, would be either green, black, oolong,
Okay.
white, or pu'er tea. So all of those
okay.
teas are considered tea. And the reason is because they come from the same plant. And that plant is Camellia sinensis, which is a form of camellia.
So, Daniela, I have to ask you one question.
Yes.
European or Western and
Yes.
Eastern tea drinking habits are quite different.
They are.
Does that change the way the tea responds with the human body?
In Asia, where they drink a lot of green tea and they drink a lot of oolong tea and other types of tea, they experience these extraordinary health benefits that scientists have been able to study. They were never able to reproduce these in the UK to the same degree, which was very puzzling for a long time.
Okay.
What they discovered is that the British add milk to their tea.
Right.
And what milk does is it binds with the antioxidants in the tea. So you're not making the tea bad for you, but you're negating a lot of the health benefits.
Can we now see how to make a proper cup of tea?
My favorite thing to do. Let's get going.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Daniela offered me a choice of fresh teas, and I opted for an Earl Green.
The mistake that most people make with brewing green tea is they use water that's too hot.
Okay.
When you're making black tea, your water needs to be at a full rolling boil. That's critical. And if you have a British grandmother from, she will tell you that, or an auntie. But to make green tea, you need water below the boiling point.
Right.
If you use water that's too hot, it overcooks the tea.
Yep.
The other thing you need to know is that if you steep your green tea for too long, you lose antioxidant value, you don't gain.
I've heard that. The time is quite critical, isn't it?
For green tea, 1 to 3 minutes is ideal.
Okay.
Longer than that, and you're going to start to lose the antioxidants. And a good way to understand that is it's just like fresh young vegetables, right? If we overcook our spinach,
Exactly.
we're getting less nutrients, not more.
So after just the right amount of steeping, it's time to taste it.
You can feel it open up in the mouth, can't you? As
Yes,
the temperature
yes.
starts to balance
Yes.
with the temperature of your mouth, all of a sudden it takes on a whole different quality.
Yeah, it does.
That's delicious. It makes me sad for the fact that I've been enjoying tea for so many years so improperly.
Well, one day at a time.
One day at a time.
there's-
Baby steps,
That's
baby
right. That's right.
steps.
That's right. And a whole new world has opened up before
Absolutely,
you. But,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Silk Road sources its superb teas from around the world, but Ali has discovered a tea farm right here on Vancouver Island. Victor Vaselli and Margit Nellerman started their own tea plantation in 2010 and believe it is the first of its kind in Canada. But before tasting her very first cup of Canadian tea, Ali has to earn it.
So we're gonna do some. You're gonna put me to work.
Oh, we're going to put you to work. Oh, no doubt. No doubt. So what you'll want to do, using the fine little pinches, is what you're going to do is basically pinch off that first little bud and that leaf. Look at that. Beautiful.
This is the only harvestable bit on this plant.
For the fine quality, the finest quality, highest quality teas, we use the bud and the first two leaves.
Right.
And then the lower leaves can be used for different grades of tea and also for culinary.
How long does it take the plant to get to maturity?
Because this is called the Camellia sinensis. So this is the plant from which all tea comes from, and they're actually trees. But in production, in agriculture, or in the production of tea, you keep them as bushes or shrubs so that they're manageable and can be plucked this way.
Okay.
So 5 to 6 years in perfect conditions, and we still don't know what perfect conditions in Canada are.
Right, because nobody's done that.
The tea picked, the next stage is steaming the leaves.
Essentially what we want to do is give this a very quick steam, minute or two, just to stop the oxidization of the tea.
Ready to go?
And just sit it right down on there.
The steaming starts to bring out the aroma.
Almost, it's like exotic lawn clippings.
Beautiful. It evolves, yes, into there's some fun little apples, there's some real freshness, right? This kind of fresh is not an experience that a lot of people have.
After a short steam, the leaves are wrapped in a cloth and manipulated.
So you're kneading it.
Essentially, yeah. Kneading it. There's some Japanese styles and techniques and tea masters who will do this for 4 hours.
Wow.
Just massaging, manipulating, and then when it's just right, kind of like that last brush stroke, then it'll be finished.
The final stage in the process is drying.
You see how moist it is?
Right.
Tea making is about reducing the level of moisture in the leaf towards allowing the oils then to dominate and to get the tea basically down to less than 3% moisture, so that it, when it's stored, will not go moldy, will spoil the.
Weather permitting, the tea is left in the sun to dry and then briefly finished in an oven. After that, there's only one thing left to do. Try it. The cups are made by Margit, whose pottery teapots partly inspired them to try growing tea in the first place.
Oh wow, that's good.
It's a unique flavor. It's taken on the terroir, on the soil. No other tea is going to taste like this anywhere else in the world, and that's what's so fascinating. All the elements, the snow that was here, the dryness, the soil itself, all the minerals that have been captured in the soil, just waiting maybe for the tea plants to come. And we're looking forward to sharing with more and more people.
Today's show is all about tea. And although true teas have to come from the tea plant, it is possible to make herbal tisanes from all sorts of local plants.
What are we going to go see?
The first plant I want to look at is the Nootka rose.
Okay.
We can use the petals in our tea. It's going to be amazing.
Okay, let's go find some Nootka rose.
All right,
Ellie
let's
is
go.
at the Horticultural Center of the Pacific to meet Catherine Harding, who is going to make tea from foraged plants.
You can tell this is a Nootka rose. If you look at the thorns, you'll see they're quite straight.
Oh yeah.
Our native roses, most of them have straight thorns, unless they've hybridized. Another thing you'll notice with the Nootka rose is the flower's quite large.
Right.
The bald hip rose, which is the other native rose you'll see commonly, has quite small flowers. So small you almost wouldn't even think of it as a rose. All right, so here is our next plant. So this is a grand fir, Abies grandis. It does have a bit of a bitter aftertaste, I'll warn you, but like if you chew just a bit of it, you'll get,
Oh, yum.
yeah, I find kind of grapefruity flavors in it.
I'm feeling very vitamin C'd.
Yeah, definitely. This is really good for colds because of that. It's got a lot of vitamin C in it.
Okay.
So this is actually, a lot of people consider it a noxious weed. It's
lovely.
oxeye daisy. They are lovely. They're also incredibly invasive.
Okay.
So I like to do my part for the environment by eating them.
Oh wow. I don't know. Intense cucumber skin? Interesting.
Although this looks like fun, it is important to know your plants. There are some poisonous ones out there.
This is poison hemlock. This is one of the most poisonous plants in the Pacific Northwest. And actually, right beside it here, this is Queen Anne's lace, which is a wild carrot. Now, if you look at these two plants,
very similar.
Very similar. So you've got to be extremely cautious with some of them. Yerba buena.
Yerba buena. What does that mean?
So it means good plant in Spanish.
Okay.
So if you take just a little bit of this one, here, crumple that up and give it a smell.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so this
Menthol.
one. So yeah, this one is actually often used in medicinal teas to make medicinal teas taste better.
Okay. Cheers. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Oh yeah. It's lovely and delicate, but you can taste every single one of the plants in there.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So who knew that tea could be such an adventure? Today we're going to make one of my favorite desserts, panna cotta. And panna cotta, the literal translation is cooked cream. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of gelatin to it and some beautiful fresh berries. And in order to bring the tea into the whole mix, we're going to steep our cream with some beautiful Lapsang Souchong from the tea farm. And then from our friends at Silk Road, we've got some Royal BC Museum tea, which is what we're going to macerate our berries in. So we're going to incorporate tea into a traditionally un-tea-like dish. First thing we need to do is boil some cream. So I've got 500 mils of whipping cream, okay, straight into a warm pan. I'm just going to add a little tiny drop of honey to this, just a whisper. Okay, there we go. So what I've got here is a little bit of gelatin powder, 1 packet of gelatin powder and a little cold water. Okay, and you simply just pour the cold water onto that gelatin and allow it to dissolve. And this is referred to as blooming. The lumps will melt out, no problem. You don't have to get every little lump out of there. So meanwhile, our cream is just coming up to the simmer. While that's happening, I'm going to make my macerating liquid for the berries. So a little bit of hot water. And what we're doing with that is our Silk Road Royal BC Museum tea. Just beautiful. It's probably about 30 mils, 2 tablespoons worth of tea. Quite a lot. We want to really make this a good pungent tea. Okay. Once you've added the tea, turn it off. Okay. And then we'll just give that a little stir to make sure it's properly infused. And we're going to let that infuse for 5 or 6 minutes. And then with the cream, we're going to do exactly the same thing. In this case, the cream is just coming up to the simmer now. So I've got, again, about 30 mils, 2 tablespoons worth of the Lapsang Souchong. And we're just going to sprinkle that in there and give that a little stir. And once again, just let that do its thing for a couple of moments. Okay. While our teas are steeping, I've got some beautiful berries here, nice local blackberries. I've got some raspberries under there, and I've got some of these beautiful little, tiny little organic strawberries. The cream is just simmering away nicely. Our Royal BC Museum tea has had a chance to steep in the water. I'm just going to sweeten that up a little bit. Again, just with a little honey into there. I put the honey in after the tea has steeped. Don't put the honey in first. It will affect the way the tea steeps. So here comes the cream. Okay, you can see it just coming up to the top. And of course, the beauty of cooking with natural gas is that you turn it off and it immediately stops boiling. If you're working with electric, you got to be careful because it will continue to boil over if you leave it. So here is our Royal BC Museum Silk Road tea, steeped up nicely, just sweetened with a little bit of honey. We're just going to strain out the tea leaves. We're just going to leave that there for a moment or two. If we have a look at our gelatin here, you can see how, okay, it's stiffened up quite a lot based on the fact that the gelatin has now absorbed all the liquid. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to strain out that Lapsang Souchong. Again, it doesn't take many minutes. 5-6 minutes is ample time for that to infuse. It does brown the tea slightly. Again, the tannins in that tea will just release and color your cream a little bit, but that's okay. And then while the cream is hot, in goes the gelatin. Okay, and the gelatin just drops straight in, and you just stir that. And the gelatin dissolves almost instantaneously. You just want to stir it for a couple of minutes just to take out some of that excess heat. So at this point, you can check if you touch the bowl. The bowl should feel warm but not overly hot. Okay. And then we're just going to drop in all those berries. Of course, the berries are cold, so they'll drop the temperature quite quickly. And then we're just going to let that whole thing cool down, and we're going to end up with these nice, beautiful macerated berries. Plus, we're going to get this beautiful berry-infused tea, which we'll serve over ice with our panna cottas. And I'm going to do 2 different versions here. I'm going to do one in a nice martini glass, which we can leave in place. Then I'm going to do a couple in a little ramekin dish, which will turn out. And then we can pour the berries over the top of those. So if you're doing them in the martini glass, do be careful that you don't splash it because we're going to serve them in and we don't want to see all the
panna cotta up the sides into there. And you're only going to fill them about 2/3 full. You don't want to be all the way to the top. And then these two down here. If we splash, it's not the end of the world because we're going to tip these out anyways. So. Okay, and then we just have to put these into the fridge.
Well, I have to say, Steve really challenged me on this one. The idea of smoke in a dessert and in something as light as a panna cotta really made me put my thinking cap on for some good pairings. What did come to mind was this one. It's the 8th generation late harvest Chardonnay. It's a dessert wine, even though it says it's a Chardonnay. The botrytis affected grapes really make it sweet and something special. It gives this level of complexity and almost a smokiness. It might be my imagination, but you'll have to try. And I think it would really complement the smokiness of the panna cotta. Now, regardless of the smoke, there are other aspects to this dessert. We have the berries and the panna cotta, which is creamy in and of itself. I thought of this beer, which is really quite interesting. It's Steel and Oak Smoke Hefeweizen. Now, if you're familiar with Hefeweizen, it is quite fruity. It's got that banana esters, this clove, but it has a really creamy body unto itself. So I thought that the cream of this, that mouthfeel, and the cream of the panna cotta with the berries would really go well together. And then the smoke, it's like a like-on-like pairing. The smoke is the smokes are talking to each other. So again, another one for you guys to test.